Gut IQ nutrition and wellness videos are meant to be informative and educational. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure any disease or condition. It is not intended to substitute the advice, treatment, and/or diagnosis of a qualified licensed healthcare professional. Hello and welcome back. I am Erin, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about how one person's healing potion can be another person's poison. So I just wanted to kind of touch on some things. I feel like this was the number one missing piece of the puzzle whenever it came to my health and nutrition journey. So whenever I started seeing my naturopath last year, one of the things that she looked at was what I was currently eating. And whenever I went to see her, I really thought that I was eating healthy. I was like so proud of myself because I was like, I'm gonna do these low FODMAP, like low, inflammatory foods and this and that. And so I was eating just so many. I was like, I'm just gonna eat like Whole30 foods and, cut out some of the gluten and things that I knew, I'm like, I'm going to drink more water and, and cut out gluten. And then I was also trying out, I watched some Netflix documentaries that told me how I should eat a vegan diet because it was so good for me. And so I kind of tried to do my own thing and tried out the vegan lifestyle for a little bit. And I was eating what I thought was healthy. I was like eating spinach salads with chicken and pecans and dried cranberries, and I was having broccoli and just all kinds of stuff that I loved, strawberries on my salad with like a strawberry vinaigrette, or like a light ranch, instead of regular ranch. And I thought, from years and years of yo-yo dieting or keto dieting or intermittent fasting or Weight Watchers. I've done Weight Watchers before. I just kind of like grabbed little bits and pieces of information and combined them with an internet search. And then I thought that that was my healthy way of eating. And I thought I was really doing my body good, but I was so confused as to why I still wasn't feeling good. So whenever I met with my new, my naturopath, my ND, she, basically had me do a hair sample, like a trace mineral analysis on my hair. And then I also got some blood work done. And through those two things, she formulated kind of a specialized diet that was based off of, because we all have different genes. We are all different and unique with the chemical makeup of our bodies and what our bodies require to be able to break down and absorb our foods. And so the biggest thing, which I'm going to get into at a later on a later video and touch on, is the stomach acid. I did not have adequate stomach acid to break down the foods in my body for my body to be able to use those nutrients. And so my balances were all off, and it's just crazy. She handed me this report and I'm like, arsenic, how do I have arsenic in my hair sample? And that really mainly came from the non-organic chicken that I was eating. But later on that, and this video is just mainly to kind of get across that everyone, whenever I started eating well and my face started clearing up and my weight started dropping and I started looking good and feeling good, and people could see it. Like it was obvious, like it was a night and day difference. And they're like, what are you doing? You look so incredible. Tell me what to eat and I'll eat it because I want to look and feel incredible too. And that's the hard thing, is that, my doctor made it very clear, and it's been made very clear in my courses that I'm taking, that there's not a one size fits all like diet protocol that, someone can for sure like eat this diet and, have their health. That's just unfortunately not how it works, because we're all predispositioned to things based on our genetics and our environment and our emotions. Like everything is everything can work together or it can work against each other. And there's kind of like this 80-20 rule that, yeah, a specific diet may work for, 80% of the people. But then there's just that gap. Like there's this gap, this huge gap in healthcare where 20% of people are chronically ill from the same diet that works for so many others. And so why is that, right? Like, why is it? That's not fair. It's not fair that I can't have gluten or cow dairy or these things that, my naturopath is asking me to give up, but it just is how it is. And, there's just unfortunately not any way to change that. And so I think a lot of people, especially as I talk to people that I care about and everything, they're like, oh, I'm squared away with my health. I'm eating a healthy, balanced diet, with this amount of grains, and I'm counting my macros and I'm doing this and that. The thing is that whenever I started really diving deep in this journey, my naturopath was very clear. No counting. Like, I don't have to count any macros. It's literally like, it's more difficult in some ways to eat in a holistic way with so many restrictions. However, the easy thing is that I don't ever count anything. I don't count, how many ounces of, I kind of eyeball the number of ounces of meat, but whenever I have days where I eat more, it doesn't really, I'm still staying at a consistent, healthy weight without weighing anything, without counting calories, without counting grams of fats, this and that. Like, you literally don't need to be doing any of that if you are changing your nutrition for your health. If you are using food as medicine, and you kind of follow a holistic way of looking at things, a holistic lens for your diet and nutrition, you should not be having to count macros. You shouldn't have to do any of that. You should be counting ounces of water, because water is the number one thing that I really struggled the most with, because I thought I was having an adequate amount of water, but it turns out that all of the caffeine that I was having to keep myself awake because I was so tired all the time was counting against my water intake for the day, and I had no idea. Again, more on that later, but I'm just making this video to say that don't go based off of one particular diet and say that, this keto diet really works for me, or this, whatever, because we all need different things. So I'm not going to require the same thing that even my cousin, they have different, not completely different, but they have different genetics than me, right? So it's important to understand that there is not a one size fits all, and that one person's food can be another person's poison. And I will get into a video later to kind of dive deeper on that, but that's just kind of an FYI overall. We can't pick and choose one particular diet because our bodies are just, they're like thumbprints, right? They're completely unique and different. And so finding a holistic coach or a holistic doctor that can help dive deep with you and help discover, what imbalances are in your body that are keeping you from healing is super important, and is number one, at the top of the list, as far as like, if you are having chronic pain and you're like, where do I go from here? You kind of need to find out what's not going to be poisoning your body. And in order to do that, you just have to dive a little deeper. So we'll go into more on that later. And thank you for joining me.